can I row with Billy in the gig? They all laughed and said what they always said, that girls don't row in the gigs. They never had. I went to the hen house and cried. It's the only place I can cry in peace. And then Granny May came in with the last piece of cake and said there are plenty of things women can do that men can't. Doesn't seem that way to me. I want to row in that gig, and I will. One day I will. Billy came into my room just now. He's had another argument with Father. This time the milk buckets weren't clear enough. There's always something, and Father will shout at him so. Billy says he wants to go to America, and that one day he will. He's always saying things like that. I wish he would done. It frightens me. I wish Father would be kinder to him. February the 12th, the night of the storm. A terrible storm last night, and the pine tree at the bottom of the garden came down, missing the hen house by a whisker. The wind was so loud we never even heard the tree fall, but I'm sure the hens did. We've lost more slates on the roof above Billy's room, but we were lucky. At the end of Granny May's roof, it had gone completely. It just lifted off in the night. It's sitting lopsided on her escalonia hedge. Father's been up there all day trying to do what he can to keep the rain out. Everyone would be there helping, but there isn't a building on the island that hasn't been battered. Granny May just sat down in her kitchen all day and shook her head. She wouldn't come away. She kept saying she'll never be able to pay for a new roof, and where will she go and what will she do? We stayed with her, Mother and me, giving her cups of tea and telling her that everything would be all right. Something'll turn up, Mother said. She's always saying that. When Father gets all inside himself and miserable and silent, when the cows aren't milking well, and he can't afford timber to build his boats, she always says, don't worry, something'll turn up. She never says it to me, because she knows I won't believe her. I won't believe her because I know she doesn't believe it herself. She just says it to make him feel better. She just hopes it'll come true. Still, it must have made Granny May feel better. She was her old self again this evening, talking away happily. Everyone on the island calls her mad old stick, but she's not really mad. She's just old and a bit forgetful. She does talk to herself, but then she's lived alone most of her life, so it's not surprising, really. I love her because she's my granny, because she loves me, and because she shows it. Mother has persuaded her to come and stay for a bit until she can move back into her house again. Billy's in trouble again. He went off to St Mary's without telling anyone. He was gone all day, and when he got back this evening, he never said a word to me or Granny May. Father buttoned his lip for as long as he could. It's always been the same with Father and Billy. They set each other off, they always have. It's Billy's fault, really, most of the time anyway. He starts it. He does things without thinking. He says things without thinking. And Father's like a squall. He seems calm and quiet one minute, and then I could feel it coming. He banged the table and shouted, "Billy had no right going off like that," he said, "when there's so much to be put right at Granny May's." Billy told him he'd do what he pleased, when he pleased, and he wasn't anyone's slave. Then he got up from the table and ran out, slamming the door behind him. Mother went out after him. Poor Mother, always the peacemaker. Father and Granny May had a good long talk about young folk today and how they don't know what hard work is all about. They're still at it downstairs. I went to see Billy just a few minutes ago. He's been crying, I can tell. He says he doesn't want to talk. He's thinking, he says. Well, that makes a change, I suppose. February the 14th. Granny May's roof has been patched up. She moved back home yesterday. We're on our own again. Father said at breakfast he thought Molly would calve down today and that Billy and me should keep an eye on her. Billy went off to St Mary's and I went up to check on Molly this afternoon on my own. She was lying down by the hedge, her calf curled up beside her. It looked as if he was sleeping at first, but he wasn't. There were flies on his face and his eyes weren't blinking. He was dead and I couldn't make Molly get up. I pushed and I pushed her, but she wouldn't move. I didn't tell Father because I knew how angry he'd be. We should have been there, Billy or me. One of us should have been there. I fetched Mother instead. She couldn't get Molly on her feet either, so in the end we had to call Father from the boat shed. He tried everything, but Molly just laid her head down on the grass and died. Father sat beside her and stroked her neck and said nothing, but I knew what he was thinking. We only had 4 cows and we just lost the best of them. Then he looked up and said, "Where's that boy?" Mother tried to comfort him, but he wouldn't even answer her. "Just you wait till he gets back. Just you wait." That was all he said. Billy came back at sundown. I saw him come sailing up Tresco Channel. I ran down to Green Bay to tell him about Molly and to warn him about Father, and then I saw he wasn't alone. "This is Joseph Hannibal," said Billy. "He's American, off the General Lee in St Mary's." Joseph Hannibal is a bear of a man with a bushy black beard, twitchy eyebrows that meet in the middle, and he always looks angry. I never had a chance to tell Billy about Molly. He'd brought Joseph Hannibal back to see the island, he said, and they went off together up to Hell Bay. I didn't see them again until supper. Father sat in a stony silence, and Mother smiled all the time, thinly like she does when she's worried. But after a time, she was doing what I was doing, what Billy was doing, and what even Father was doing. We were all listening to Joseph Hannibal. He's been all over the world, the South Sea Islands, Australia, Japan, China, the frozen north. He sailed on tea clippers and on steamships. He's been whaling too. "Yes, sir," he went on, puffing at his pipe. "I've seen whales longer than this entire house, and that's the honest truth." You had to listen to him. I mean, you wanted to listen. You wanted him to go on all night. Then Mother said we should go up to bed early. We had to milk the cows in the morning. Billy said he wasn't tired, that he'd be up later, and that he'd stay where he was. Father looked at him hard, but Billy didn't seem to notice. He only had eyes for Joseph Hannibal. He still doesn't know about Molly, and he's still down there now, talking to Joseph Hannibal. There's something about Joseph Hannibal, something I don't like, but I'm not sure what it is. One thing I am sure of, though, as soon as he's gone, Father's going to have something to say, and when he does, I wouldn't want to be in Billy's shoes. I'm trying to stay awake by writing this, so I can warn him about Molly, but my eyes are pricking, and I can hardly keep them open. February the 15th. This is the worst day of my whole life. It began well. Joseph Hannibal left the house this morning at last. I thought he'd sail away on the evening tide and that would be the end of him. I was wrong. Billy's gone with him. Even as I write it, I can hardly believe it. Billy's gone. It all began just after Joseph Hannibal left. We've had arguments before, Billy and me, but never like this. He didn't seem a bit sad when I told him at last about Molly and her calf. He just said that I should have been there, or Mother, that it wasn't his fault. I got angry and shouted at him. Billy just shrugged and walked off. I hate it when he does that. I raced after him and grabbed him. He turned on me and told me I was taking Father's side against him. I knew then it was all because of Joseph Hannibal. It's as if he's split us apart. Billy thinks that everything about him is wonderful, that he's doing what a proper man should. He won't hear a word against him. This afternoon, Billy and Father had their expected set to about Molly. Father roared, and of course Billy shouted back at him. He wasn't going to stay and be a cowman all his life. He'd better things to be doing. I've never seen Billy like it. The angrier he became, the more he seemed to grow. Nose to nose, in the kitchen he was as big as Father. Father said he'd strap him if he didn't hold his tongue, and Billy just stared at him and said nothing, his eyes like steel. Mother came between them, and Billy stormed out. I followed. Okay, well, we'll leave it there. Come back next week and we'll continue this exciting story. Well, there you go, year 6. I don't know about you, but I really, really enjoyed that, and I can't wait to see how things progress in this story. I think life was very hard in the Scilly Isles back in the turn of the century. It was a hard old life, especially in these small islands where, you had to work really hard for every penny you earned. But I'm interested to see how the story goes and what happens to Laura and what happens to Billy, who's run off to sea with the American sailor. So anyway, hope you have a great week. Hope you manage to get some fun things in. And Rusty and Rusty, who's all relaxed, aren't you? We will see you next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.